Hey everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Today we're going to be looking at Flipper 1, Blood Engagement, Speaking of the Devil, and Deep Stuff. It's a strange title because Actus Tragicus, the Israeli comics art collective, they would put out these things called Flipper series. As far as I know, there was only 2 of them. So this is the first one. And basically what these were flip books and with a middle story. So each one would have 3 stories featuring 3 of the artists of Actus Tragicus. This came out in 2000. And if you're not familiar with Actus Tragicus, they started in 1995. I think it's 5 or 6 cartoonists. They got together and they also published their own stuff. And all of their stuff is very nice looking. And I have a handful of them I've found over the years. And they're all really good. I've never really read a review of them. It seems like I've always find them in the cheap bins, but I love their stuff. It's really, really good storytelling. Highlight on the narrative. They always have great stories, and this is no exception. So we start off with Blood Engagement on this side, and this is by M. Friedman, one of the members. See, it's a very handsome little book. It's got the little flaps. We have a preview of the middle story, Deep Stuff by B. Colton. And we have the title page here, at least for this story. Indicia. And so we see this cat, and it's in the market in some medieval town. I love this little panel of him in what was that guy's name? Edward Mulberry or whatever, the stop motion photo thing type of stuff. He runs under the skirts of Lady Anna. She's a rich lady. Her maid grabs the cat, puts it in the basket, and until it's calmed down. Because I guess it was kind of freaking out. I think it even clawed her legs. As they pass the barber, the maid tells him that the lady shall require services. And when they get home, pretty soon Anna's in love with this cat. She's very glad that she got this cat. I really like this cartooning. I can't think of anyone it looks like. It's very unique. And it really fits the story well, because it's almost like some weird fairy tale or something. So the barber comes. I don't even understand the scene. For some reason, the barber shaves a giant stripe off the cat. And Lady Anna says, "Get out of here. The audacity to treat a cat so." I don't even understand why he did that. I don't get it. So in the middle of the night, there's a sound that wakes up Anna. It turns out the cat has kittens. A giant litter. So the next day at church, this guy, she's a rich single lady. So all these guys are trying to get with her. And this guy is like a banker. And basically, it sounds like he just wants her to invest in a voyage to the New World. And, he thinks she's a typical woman, but she's a lot more hard-nosed than he thought. So she sends him packing. Luckily, he's allergic to her cat, and he starts sneezing, so that kind of gets rid of him. He's just so kind of crappily drawn cats, but I love it. They're so funny looking to me. So time passes, and, Anna's very sad that she's still a virgin. She's celibate. She really wants to find a partner in life. So, she goes to a ball. Some of this almost reminds me of Melinda Gibby. Some of these faces. But I mean, barely. Just a few of them. Otherwise, I see no comparison to anyone I can think of. So all these guys are hitting on her. But the one guy that she's kind of interested in is this young, handsome doctor. This guy. These faces are so expressive. I love the way he draws Anna. So it seems like all the suitors should come to her house. The cats constantly screw everything up. There's all these kittens, and they seem to like jump on these guys' heads and bite them and scare them off. So in this scene, it seems like she throws the cat on this balladeer. This guy trying to woo her with a song. So sometimes she just wants to get rid of him, but then sometimes it looks like they just attack on their own accord and scare the guys off. So she's just like so sad about all this, just like, oh, accursed me. God has cursed me. She actually becomes ill. So the maid calls the doctor. Or she asks, should I call the doctor? And she's like, ooh, that young doctor? Yes. So I knew maybe she's faking. She's not really sick. The doctor comes. And they make love. But then all the kittens show up on the bed. And I guess because the guy's so distracted, he can't get it up. And he says, you bewitched me, and my faculties have dwindled, you witch. Because I guess back in medieval times, black cats were seen as like a witch's familiar, probably. So she's getting sick of these fucking kittens. And she throws one of them. So the young doctor has a brother who's a butcher. The doctor tells his brother about what happened. And the butcher has an idea, has a plan. So I think the cats are multiplying. I don't know if they're having babies. It seems like there's more and more. They're just crowding her out of her own house. The butcher comes to visit, and he says, I have a solution that will benefit us both. And she says, that's a pretty good idea. So we see them get married. And the butcher opens a new pie shop. And she's behind the counter. And they're making lots of money. And yeah, you might have figured it out. They're butchering all of her cats. So they get free meat. And I don't know, maybe cat meat is very tasty because people seem to like the pies a lot. But then they run out of cats. So the husband has to go out at night and get as many strays as he can. I don't know why, but he puts this rat in the bag. Maybe so the cats can eat it? I don't know. But remember, this is medieval times. So one day a little boy gets a pie. And he comes down with the plague. The plague quickly spreads through the city. I like this vista here. We see one of those, whatever you call those guys. The guys who attended to the dead with their weird masks. And the husband's starting to panic. He's like, I gotta get out of here before somebody connects the dots and realizes, I started the plague. So he pretends that he's just going out for a walk. When he gets to the gates, the soldier says, you can't leave. The city's been quarantined. So he throws Anna to the wolves. He says, it's Anna. She brewed a spell upon the town with her black cats and her sorcery. And then I guess the soldier's on her way, so he escapes. They come to Anna's house, the Inquisitors. And they cut her hair off and tie her to a stake. And they burn her until she's just a skeleton. And the camera pulls back this kind of poorly drawn cityscape. And we see some cats running around, black cats. There'll always be black cats in the city. What a great little story. And such interesting art. Now, guys, this is deep stuff by Batia Colton, one of the members. And it says based on a true story. I kind of doubt it. But there's something about this painted art. The color. I don't know if there's some kind of computer manipulation going on. There's something, I've never seen anything quite like this. I really like it too. The art style is kind of bizarre. Very bizarre, in fact. But the patina, I don't know, Whatever this going on in this painting, I can't quite put my finger on how he did it. Maybe there is some computer manipulation. This is 2000, so I don't even know if computers could do fancy stuff like that. But whatever it is, I've never seen any painted art look quite like this. So it's almost written as a play, like we just see these pictures, and then Esther. We've got to find a grave for Bobby. We're going to get him tomorrow from John. So this woman has all these stuffed dogs. All of her dead dogs she's stuffed. So she gets the latest one back from the taxidermist. But there's no eyes in the dog. They're waiting for the eye catalog, and she just can't decide. I love this. She goes to sleep with the stuffed dog, and she says, "You really hated being petted." But now she can pet him all she wants. So the next morning, she meets Brian, and he works at the graveyard. And she says, "Hey, I brought you another one. Will you help me again?" He's like, "Yep. We're burying a distinguished guy tomorrow. It'll cost you, though. And would you bury his favorite doll along with him?" God, guys, I don't know what it is about this art. It's so odd. So at the funeral, Esther shows up, of course. So basically, what she's been doing for years is she wants to bury her dogs. She first wants to stuff them. Then she wants to bury them. Maybe there's no dog cemetery, pet cemetery in this town. So she has to sneak it into someone's grave, coffin. It's an odd idea, but I kind of get the gist of it, but it's just so weird. And it doesn't really make sense at the end. So now the wife of that man, every day she comes to the graveyard and she keeps seeing fresh flowers on the grave. Now she goes home. This is where it gets really weird. Her husband is there. He's stuffed. She's also waiting for eyes. She hasn't found the right eyes for him. So I don't know who's in the grave. It's just so bizarre. Now she's talking to her dead husband as if he was alive. She says, "You know, I always trusted you. I know you were faithful. But why does this... Who is this woman who keeps leaving flowers on your grave? I must know." There's this weird blurry effect to it. Now here we see more close-ups of Esther and the widow. Now look, we really see how weird this art is. Look at Esther's eyes. She needs eyes. I don't know what the hell that's supposed to be. So bizarre looking. So the next day, the widow runs into Esther. She says, "You, tell me everything." And she explains. She says, "My dog is buried with your husband." Of course, the widow is very offended. She says it's an outrage. She says, "Look, I can show you, Bobby. I had him stuffed." And she shows a picture. And then she says, "Yes, I stuffed them all. And they're all buried here." All of her dogs throughout the years. Now, I think this is just symbolic. Because we see the dogs on the graves. These stuffed dogs. And so what else is weird? In the beginning, these were all at her house. So it's a very confusing story, but I really don't care. There's just this amazing, surrealist, beautiful kind of story where I'm not going to think about the logic too much. So I guess these ladies kind of become friends. And then to make it even more confusing, Esther says, "When I die, I want them all cremated so they won't be sold in flea markets." It's like, but you bury them. I don't get it. So finally the eye catalog comes, or they get more selection of eyes. And they both pick the same eyes. The widow for her husband, her dead husband, and Esther for Bobby the dog. That's so creepy looking. Oh man, I like that one. So now I flip it, and we got Speaking of the Devil by I. Rennert. And here we see in the flap here, there's a picture of Actus Tragicus. I guess there's 5 of them, at least at this time. Here's the title page. Man, I really like, this is a great story. So we see this kid. He's kind of a young man, teenager. He's like I always felt like a misfit, an outsider. Whatever made other kids happy saddened me. But let's start from the beginning. He was born into a respectable family. His father was the minister of human self-destruction. His mother was the producer in the ministry for xenophobic affairs. She's talking about helping out Le Pen, the fascist, the French fascist. He had a nanny that looks just like the evil queen in Snow White. So he mentions that he has this black cat, Isidore. He says, I behaved myself properly when people were around. And he's lighting the cat's tail on fire. But when we were all alone, I used to do strange things, like cuddling him. He talks about his school. The teacher's teaching very strange things. She calls the mother in for a parent-teacher meeting. She says, your son refuses to beat the other children at recess. Without bad, there is no good. Without pain, there is no happiness. Without hate, there is no love. Once again, this art style is very unique. I can't think of anyone this looks like. But I really like it, especially for this story. It fits. So she's telling the kids, the teacher's saying, good is bad, bad is good. Our father is the devil. Our Lord is God. And our sign is, and they make little horns on their head. So then we find out what the hell's going on. He says, but here in hell, nonconformist questions are frowned upon. Oh yeah, if you didn't get it up until now, I grew up in hell. I was pretty confused the first 5 pages. I'm like, this is weird. And I'm like, oh. His 9th birthday is I guess it's kind of like his bar mitzvah. And his dad gave him a special treat, the popular scapegoat ceremony. But it doesn't make him happy. All the other kids love it. He's just like, I feel sour inside. He writes in his diary, am I mentally ill? Am I adopted? Why do I have these weird feelings? So on his 10th birthday, his dad surprised him. He took him to the gate of hell, where all the new shipment of souls arrived. Everyone, all the demons there. I love how in hell, the demons just look like kind of bourgeois people. It's almost just like Earth. And all the demons there are taunting the damned. But that night, he had the narrator has nightmares. He realizes that the strange feeling that's been bugging him is compassion. And he felt dirty and perverted and sick. He went to his mother and finally admitted, he says, Mom, I think I'm good. The mom's silent for a second, then she breaks down and cries. She says, oh, my hideous little monstrosity. You're not your father's son. I have to admit it to you after all these years. You're the outcome of a one-night stand I had with a fallen angel. She's like, he was so fucking sexy that I just couldn't help myself. It's not that bad that you're good on the inside. It's the outside that counts. And you're bad on the outside. Living a lie will make you even more despicable than all the other demons. So he throws his diary into the fire. And he starts practicing to become evil, reading books and stuff. And he's pretty good at it. She shoves this little old lady down a manhole. The years went by. He was ambitious, intelligent, and he was an amazing success story. He graduated with flying colors. So after graduation, the normal deal in hell is that you do an internship on Earth, and you're teamed up with an angel, also an intern. So basically the thing is they each have to, find a target, and, what the devil has to try to fuck them up, and the angel has to see that they do well. So they get a kind-hearted school teacher and a cute fiance as their first assignment. So the devil's job is to make him leave her, and the angel was making sure they walked down the aisle and got married. I love this. He says, well, what can I say? I was good. The kind-hearted teacher is about to stab her. Take that, bitch. That'll teach you. And then he goes to his school and kills all of his students and burns down the school. So he's really good at his job, this little devil. So the angel congratulates him. To him, it's just like, hey, you know, he doesn't care about good and evil. He's just like, you did a good job. You did what you're supposed to do. The devil's still confused. He says, hey, you're from the other side. What's all this evil good for? Why did God even invent us demons? The angel's just kind of like, yeah, man, don't be so heavy. God knows what he's doing. No question. So the devil is kind of down in the dumps and full of remorse. He decided to try to be good, but he's really bad at it. I guess he tried to help this lady, but instead ended up stealing her handbags. He mentions how he doesn't have much experience in being good, and he's reading the Bible upside down. Then all of a sudden, he was called back to hell. His parents welcome him, say, we're very proud of you. And I guess he did such a good job, they're going to give him a parade or a ceremony. Give him an honorary decoration. But at the end of the ceremony, a real surprise awaited him. They're like, you're going to meet Satan. And he admits to Satan, pretty much all of the things he's been worried about. I don't believe this propaganda you filled our heads with in school. There's no good without being bad. I don't know, this whole balance of the cosmos. You knew God personally. You must know the real truth. And Satan's quiet for a second. And he says, no, son, I don't know more than you. And I've asked him plenty of times. God always tells me to mind my own business. He says, just have faith. And Satan sheds a tear. He says, I have feelings too. Sometimes I can't sleep at night. I also need love. And just the fact that the devil said love, it makes him immolate. He burns to a crisp, to nothingness. I love that panel. That's really good right there. And immediately, the young devil, calls up this devil's secretary and says, I've killed his eminence. I'm the new great father now. Call a government meeting. And so I guess these are like the dukes of hell, the board of directors. And he says, we got new rules now. All jailed souls will be sent back to Earth for a second chance. We're going to get rid of our brainwashing educational system. And every demon's going to do a good deed a day. And what's with this fascist architecture everywhere? And also, can we please turn down the temperature? I'm sick of sweating all the time. But then the secretary cuts the meeting short and she says, it's God on the line. He wants to talk to you immediately. Or see you immediately. So he goes up to heaven to see God. God's like, what the hell are you doing? Have you lost your mind? You're trying to ruin my world? And he says, no, I'm just trying to get rid of evil. I want to make hell disappear, end suffering. And God was amused. He said, my dear silly boy, don't you know there is no hell? There are no demons. Evil is a fantasy. And the young demon says, but Lord, I am a demon. I just came from hell, and it's bad there. Am I right or am I wrong? God looked at him, smiled a kind-hearted smile, and said, you know what, son? You're right. You're also right. Want to do something fun? Let's go see a movie. That's how it ends. So kind of a very odd little ending there. But I love, it really brings up some interesting, stuff about heaven and hell. Kind of reminds me of that famous S. Clay Wilson comic about the angels and the demons. But also, even more so, it reminds me of that Michael Golden story in Secrets of Haunted House number 10, which, if you want to see the video, it's pretty old. So go to the beginning of the playlist. You can also find it in the Amazing Anthologies playlist. But it's about 2 years old, so if you want to read that. But it's a very similar story where some guy wants to make hell better. And he succeeds a little better, though. I like this also montage of all the characters we've seen in the whole story. Really interesting stuff. These Actus Tragicus guys, I think there's no one out there drawing and writing quite like they do. Maybe because they're in Israel, which doesn't have much comics. Maybe they don't get a lot of foreign comics. I don't know. But it's like they got their own thing going on. So I would love to get more of this stuff. And I think I just have like one book by them other than this. Hope you guys like looking at this. And I highly recommend finding more of their stuff. I looked up on GCD. And it seems like they have a bunch of books out, at least like 20. So I'm going to start hunting for these. And like I said, I bet you'll find them cheap because nobody seems to care about these guys. But I think they're terrific. So thanks for watching, guys, and I hope to see you next time here at the Herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.